Hai, saya Amirul, host pada hari ini, The Creative Decode, episod 8.
Hai, saya Fai.
Hello, hai, saya Kojuzati dan hari ni kami bersama seorang legend marketing, performance marketing. Bersama saya hari ni, Tuan FM, Firdaus Muntazah. Hai Tuan. Yeay. Wow, such early in the morning Tuan.
Yelah tu, minta maaf lah.
It's okay. So kita sangat happy, berbesar hati pagi ni ada kita punya guru lah ya. Banyak belajar actually dengan Tuan Firdaus Muntazah. Okay, kita nak bagi Tuan empunya lah memperkenalkan diri. Siapakah Tuan FM dan what do you do?
Sekarang lah.
Yeah,
Yang what do I do sekarang lah.
Yeah. I mean you can tell a little bit about your story.
Okay. Well, nama saya Firdaus Muntazah. Kalau nama saya panjang lah sebenarnya. Nama bapa tu yang panjang sebenarnya. Nama panjang tu tak payah saya cakap lah. Tapi saya selalu letak nama tu, pen name tu Firdaus Muntazah lah. Saya dalam bidang marketing ni sejak actually saya study marketing and advertising pada tahun 2002, and then bila saya graduate tu saya sebenarnya tak buat marketing pun. I was actually in the creative line.
I see.
I was a designer for an ad agency, lepas tu magazine publications, few magazine publications, and then baru masuk branding dekat AirAsia, and from there baru orang cakap start my journey terus ke digital marketing. Sebab AirAsia memang one of the online business, because dia yang antara yang first pioneered online bookings and all that kan. So dia punya sister companies tu semua, so mostly online bookings. So one of it saya join selepas AirAsia tu, saya join Tune Money. Tune Money. So if you know Big Pay,
I see.
if you know AirAsia Insure, AirAsia Insure tu dulu projek saya lah.
Okay.
Sampai sekarang alhamdulillah ada lagi lah kalau macam booking AirAsia tu kan. Lepas tu saya join, ada in between tu saya ada buka bisnes sendiri. Nanti kita ceritalah benda ni. But dia kurang menjadilah for so many reasons. Tapi selepas tu saya masuk startup. Masa tu tiba-tiba e-commerce boom. E-commerce booming. It was a time when Groupon, Living Social, if you can remember, and then a few others. Lepas tu macam, and then saya pun I was dalam satu company nama dia Dealmates.com.
Okay.
We considered your old company as a competitor dululah. Selepas tu AIA Malaysia became the first digital marketer dalam AIA Malaysia. So if you see AIA punya website, itu legacy saya lah. Masih lagi legacy saya lah. And then selepas AIA, I think I had enough of financial institution.
Tepu dah.
Well, it's interesting in a way. It's an interesting business model. Of course, insurance, you can make a lot of money. People working there make a lot of money. But the process, the pace, kalau nak change tu kan towards digital tu macam a bit tersekat-sekat lah masa time tu. There's nothing harm kerja sana, tapi just masa time tu mungkin penerimaan dia tu lambat sikit lah. So I went to GoShop. GoShop, one of the pioneers dalam marketing team dekat GoShop. A good 3 years.
GoShop was focusing on TV punya
yes.
hosting. Was it live masa tu?
No. Okay, so masa kat GoShop, at first they opened up the TV channel. I can't remember now apa dia punya channel tu, dah tak ingat lah. Lama dah. Well, GoShop pun dah tutup kan.
Wow.
GoShop dah tutup.
You baru bagi tahu, I baru tahu.
Oh yeah, GoShop dah tutup lah. GoShop dah
Okay.
tutup macam 2 years ago, 1 year ago, I can't remember.
Alright.
So we open up the channel, TV channel first. Lepas tu ada dia punya, at the same time simultaneously dia punya website, dia punya mobile site. Lepas tu yalah, so I was there for like a good 3 years. One of the pioneer marketing strategies kat situ. Then last kali I kerja dengan Pizza Hut starting 2017 sampai PKP 2020. May 2020.
How many years was that?
I think
Almost
3 years plus lah.
Yeah.
3 years.
And then PKP macam COVID hits, right?
PKP. Well, when I tendered my resignation, I didn't know there's going to be PKP.
Oh,
Tak
mana
tahu pun,
sebelum?
tak tahu. Tak tahu pun. So because we have to serve 3 months kan. Masa tu dah ada dengar pasal the outbreak, the COVID outbreak kan. And ada some C-level cakap you jangan pergi. My direct boss dia nasihatkan you can do more. So pergi. Berhenti. Dia cakap dengan saya macam, cakap dengan saya, I will be very disappointed if you come back.
Wow.
Dia cakap macam tu.
Well, Superior cakap macam tu. Amazing Usually Superior macam want to keep you kan for a long time. Because obviously Tuan FM, I mean,
kebanyakannya tahan. Dia sayang staff dia.
So dia macam, because my superior tu pun dia pun ada macam, okay, so tahun 2018 macam tu I started my own business, which is the Bootcamp Revolusi Online.
Okay. Faham.
Where I teach a lot of people pasal digital marketing, but mainly until today is Facebook ads lah. Although masa sepanjang kerja jadi marketing, buat marketing tu, Facebook ads was not my forte. But to tackle the SMEs or whoever I'm targeting to,
Their needs lah.
semua orang nak buat duit cepat kan. Semua orang nak buat cepat kan. So it's either two ways lah. So it's either you buat content ataupun you buat Facebook ads. And there's Google ads yang a bit confusing to some people, and then dia tak nampak tu in the long run, nampak lah tapi macam dia tak nampak benda tu dia macam menjadi immediately. So Facebook ads lah. That time mana ada TikTok lagi.
Betul. Ya.
Kan. So yeah, so after a few years, 2017, okay, then I decided to macam, you know what, I do this 100%. So I tendered 2020 tu, I think around February tu I tendered. But that was after I gotten to know my CMO, the one I reported to, she's also leaving. So macam I love her so much. It broke my heart bila I tahu dia nak berhenti kerja. Macam okay lah, maybe I took it as a sign that I should leave as well. Yeah, so itulah.
Yelah, orang yang you very close kan, and then suddenly leave juga.
That's a little bit about my journey dalam marketing lah.
Menarik kan. Okay, I start dulu kita start dengan warm up questions. Okay, Tuan FM, what does creativity means to you? And what do you do on your free time dengan aktiviti kreatif?
Creativity ni macam susah nak cakap sebenarnya lah benda ni. Creativity tu, creative itself tu pada saya ialah you have to create kan. It doesn't have to be an art or a design for me. You have to create. Kalau macam you tengok dalam dictionary ke apa benda kan, dia macam it has to be something that macam orang cakap originality.
Okay, alright.
But a lot of people macam pada saya macam take the word creative tu very lightly. Because to come up with something that is very brilliant, yang baru, original, tu susah. Penerimaan orang pun susah.
Betul.
Right? Macam satunya macam a vacuum kan selalu biasa macam tu je kan. Tiba-tiba suddenly macam okay, a fan kan dia ada bilah semua kan, pusing gitu kan, and then suddenly now ada fan yang tak ada bilah, right? Ada bulat kat tengah-tengah tu. For me that's not an innovation, that is very creative. But penerimaan tu tak. Masa awal-awal Dyson keluarkan benda tu, orang tak terima.
Betul.
Orang tak terima.
Alright.
for certain people, dia tengok benda tu kreatif.
Hmm.
So creative for me is always something that yang macam you create. Maybe of course ada inspiration, tapi bila I tengok benda tu ataupun orang lain tengok benda tu, macam I want people macam fikir macam, why didn't I think of that?
I see.
For me that's brilliant. Tak kisahlah dia macam art ke, dia macam designs ke, or dia macam dari segi marketing ke, cara execution ke, or the way you make money. If it's so macam out of this world, benda tu sama. Macam okay, people always say what funnel lah. But then tiba-tiba macam boom. Why did I think of that? Macam tu.
Faham?
Kan? Contoh yang baru-baru ni, it's like we all probably do a lot of launches lah.
Okay.
At a smaller scale, at a medium scale. People do launches dekat dalam TikTok, during live TikTok semua dan sebagainya kan.
Betul.
But Alex Hormozi broke his own record.
Okay.
100 million within how many hours, right? Macam within a day or something like that. I can't remember. That was like brilliant, man.
Yang launch buku dia ni.
Launch
baru ni
buku tu kan, yang $100 million sales tu kan. $100 million money model tu kan. That's so brilliant. Tapi macam bila nampak lah apa dia nak cuba buat. It took a lot of guts for me. In my opinion, it took a lot of guts. It took a lot of, risk. Benda-benda tu boleh tak jadi, launches. But it took him a long time to actually do it. When it jalan tu macam brilliant lah. Brilliant lah. I think that's creative. Him being creative, the team being creative. A different outtake to the same thing. Macam tu lah. That's me.
That person buat something yang kita kecak, why? I mean, I thought of that, but I didn't take action pun ada juga kan?
Pun boleh juga macam tu. Boleh juga macam sometimes kita we always have that
hesitation ke?
tak macam okay. We always have those ideas kan. Once in a while we have ideas, like a very brilliant idea. And then we hesitate. Macam kita takut-takut, kita takut ambil risk lah, kita tak ada masa lah. We give all those reasons semua benda kan. But we know deep in our hearts, orang tak buat benda tu. Kan?
Okay.
Orang tak buat benda tu. Why not aku buat? But kita tak buat sebab kita takut maybe. Kan?
Macam-macam kan?
So itulah. Kalau cerita pasal what creative things I do masa free, to be honest, macam tak banyak sebenarnya. I wish I've done more. I dah tinggalkan digital design, memang dah tinggalkan. But I like music. I like music. I can play a little bit the piano, the guitar. I always think macam music helps me to think better, especially when you play it. And lagi satu, I like sketching. One of the things yang I suka, cita-cita I dulu nak jadi architecture, nak jadi architect.
Okay.
So I even took architecture. I even applied for architecture dekat ITM, tapi I didn't get it.
Alamak.
Dia bagi I.
Tapi I saw your photo tau. I think you pernah post sekali. It's really marvellous, seriously.
Boleh lah.
Cakap macam kalau you travel kan and you take sketches, wow, boleh compile tu.
Boleh lah. Itulah that's one of the things yang macam I minat tapi tak sempat buat.
Dan kenapa you kena buat apa yang UiTM tu yang you didn't get?
I didn't get dia sebab dia ada test semua dan sebagainya.
I see.
In the end they give me town planning. Memang tak. Memang kita tak nak. There's nothing wrong with town planning, but masa tu macam it's between I jadi arkitek ataupun I pergi US. Okay lah, tak dapat ni pergi US lah.
Oh, yeah. Alright. Okay.
Okay, I think kita dah dapat tahu sedikit sebanyak lah tentang kisah hidup Tuan Firdaus. But I see that mostly your life tu banyak berkenaan dengan you bekerja lah sebelum ni kan. But right now you are more in I think it's business performance strategies, right?
Lebih
So
kurang.
can you tell a little bit more about your recently career?
Recent apa?
Recent career lah.
Okay.
Right now.
Right now memang so I started Bootcamp Revolusi Online tu sebenarnya macam nak bantu a lot of SMEs back then. Ramai yang tak tahu macam mana nak buat Facebook ads. So I took that opportunity untuk ajar lah. Kan? While back then ramai yang charge buat Facebook ads tu mahal.
Betul.
Kan? So then benda macam ni tak payah mahal kot. Sebenarnya macam benda ni senang je kot, right? You understand how it works, what's the functions and all that, then okay, jalan. Okay. So actually tekan-tekan tu senang. But you must have that, at least the fundamentals of marketing lah. At least for me, the 5 P's: people, product, price, promotions, place where you sell, kan. Those 5 P's. You kena tahu benda tu, barulah you punya ads tu ataupun segala advertising you pun cantik. Tak kisahlah Facebook ads ke ataupun Google ads ke or whatever. Okay. So now Bootcamp Revolusi Online dia bukan saja mengajar, tapi kami juga bantu beberapa clients kami untuk mainly buatkan marketing diorang dalam Facebook ads, product launches, social media content and a few others lah. Agak tak adalah integrated mana, tapi macam within the digital ecosystem untuk dapatkan sales. So that's why it's always called performance lah. Dia more kepada marketing performance. Business management ni tak berapa. Dia marketing and sales. So macam mana nak buat marketing tu untuk dapatkan sales. So that's why we call it marketing performance. So macam itulah.
I see.
Connected.
Yeah.
One of the key contribution for the marketing performance and even the business performance is how to get the creative angle actually, right?
Oh yes.
That one I saw in your post. So what's your strategies or your tips for the business owner to get the macam mana pakai tu?
Nak pakai angle.
Creative angle tu. Macam mana
I
dapat?
see. Creative angle ni memang betul lah. Okay, dia macam ni. Ogilvy kan, what's his full name? I can't remember. But Ogilvy is one of the big names dalam advertising. Dalam segala kreatif ataupun pengiklanan advertising, message yang you kena berikan tu, dia kena ada satu big idea. Kan? Tak kisahlah penyampaian dia tu image ke video ke TV commercials ke apa ke dan sebagainya, tapi dia kena ada satu big message kat situ. Kan? Kalau dia ada satu big message, kita ambil contoh, let's just say macam AirAsia lah. AirAsia macam daripada dulu sampai sekarang, maybe sekarang pun dah kurang lah.
Everyone can fly.
Yeah, everyone can fly kan.
Betul.
Now everyone can fly kan.
No.
That's what one very big message. Walaupun dia baru operated with 2 liveries, orang cakap 2 airplanes je, baru start. So the message is sekarang semua orang boleh terbang pergi mana-mana. And so clear. Ogilvy pun cakap, kalau you cuba nak buat copywriting itu very witty sampai dia lost the big message pun susah. Okay. So problem orang ni selalu nak dapatkan big message, the big idea. So big message dengan big ideas ni sebenarnya ialah angle.
Okay.
In my opinion, is the angle. Kemudian you buatkan copywriting yang jelas untuk sampaikan kepada orang. So angle dia macam mana, I always have like, kita kena tengok daripada 2 sudut je lah. Nak senang kan. There's so many ways to actually find an angle. But for me, dia ada 2. Satu is from your product, and then the other one is from the customer's point of view. It will never be from your business, because you akan selalu tengok from your business side sahaja.
Okay.
It has to be from the product angle. It has to be from the customer's angle, because it's for customer or your client. Kan? Customer ni dia ada tiga je benda yang kita kena selalu take into consideration. Dia punya problem, or basically dia punya inspiration. Dia nak jadi apa? Dia nak jadi handsome ke, dia nak cantik ke, dia nak jadi, dia punya transformation tu, dia punya inspiration. Macam kalau orang selalu saya cakap, macam kalau jual fashion ni, there's no problem to it. No, cannot. Macam there's always an inspiration. Because when you change fashion ni, dia tak pakai satu benda sama je setiap masa, tak. You akan change ikut edaran zaman, right? So if you don't change, it becomes a problem. That's my point of view. Okay. And then also, you must tengok macam results. If I beli produk you, if I guna produk you, ambil service you, apa results yang akan dapat?
Betul.
Apa results yang akan dapat? Last kali, which is very powerful, it's the dream. The dream ni lah yang selalu macam big idea. Now everyone can fly. That's the dream. That's the dream. It's not really macam a solution pun. It's not really a solution. Everyone can fly actually now. Back then, everyone can still fly. It's just the money is the problem.
Yep.
Kan, betul tak?
Yeah.
The dream is to actually go somewhere at any time. Sebenarnya, at any time. Considering macam duit tu ada lah kan. And then product selalu FAB. Function ataupun features, advantages ni kelebihan. Kelebihan. In my opinion, advantages ni selalu kelebihan kita compared to other similar products, competitors, ataupun other products lah. And then benefits ni faedah lah. So dua dan tiga. PRD dengan FAB. Macam itulah.
Wow, ni kena masuk kelas ni lah lagi merungkai Tak sempat ni nak merungkai semua. Tak apa, kita touch surface je dulu, okay?
Okay, Tuan FM. Okay, saya tertarik dengan perjalanan Tuan FM daripada mula sampai ke hari ni. Tapi saya terdetik nak tanya, macam mana Tuan FM orang kata daripada belajar dari segi ambil kos pemasaran sebelum ni dan terjun ke bidang kreatif, orang kata publishing dan sebagainya. Iaitu sebab saya ni orang kreatif, saya ni orang multimedia kreatif, kreatif director lah umpamanya, publishing juga saya sebelum ni. Jadi itu yang orang kata revolusi. Dan ikutkan Tuan FM sebelum ni ada tanya tadi, ada minat bidang arkitek. Kenapa tak ceburi arkitek selain publishing? Masuk publishing.
My God. Yang cerita tu lagi panjang.
Panjang.
Anyway, okay lah.
Pendek kan?
Pendek kan. Okay, kalau macam sebenarnya saya macam ni, cerita dia, saya in and out of universities and colleges lah. I was a very rebellious kid.
Orang kata orang rebel ni genius.
Dia nakal lah.
Okay.
Even ada satu time tu yang macam saya tak buat apa-apa. Tak buat apa-apa. Setahun tak buat apa-apa. Lepas tu 2 tahun pergi kerja dekat butik. That's when I started macam I suka fashion. Then after a while macam takkan aku nak macam ni kan. You know, adalah tiba-tiba ada hidayah. Hidayah, then masuklah. This is a very small college masa time tu. Itu pun recommendation from my friend who started his own advertising firm. Kawan rapat. My friend dia, tu cerita lain lah nanti. My friend tu seorang yang berjaya sekarang. But anyway, he recommended pergi dekat satu college ni, nama dia IACT. You would know. Kan? Institute of Advertising and Communications Training. Masa tu dekat rumah kedai je, dekat Uptown, Damansara Uptown. And my friend recommended that night. Besoknya I bangun pagi, masa sarapan, I told my mom, cakap, "Ma, orang nak masuk, nak belajar balik lah." "Mana?" Kat sini. So okay. My mom tak ada banyak bunyi, sebab dia dah tengok anak dia macam keluar masuk kan. My mom tak ada banyak bunyi. Okay, jom, let's go. Let's go. Terus siap pergi register. Tak tahu pun sebenarnya dah masuk semester baru. And masuk tu macam masuk baru masa seminggu or something like that. So register terus masuk. Then tapi tak ada duit. Well, macam ni lah, macam I don't want to beban my mum anymore. I was a scholar, tapi macam semua tu went down the drain. Lepas tu my mum cuba lagi. Lepas tu I cakap my mum, okay, mama bayar je untuk yang ni, duit belanja I cari. So that's when I pergi cari kerja jadi designer dekat advertising firm. So while studying advertising and marketing, sudah jadi modal macam tu kan. I know. So I pergi je lah mana-mana advertising firm yang dekat area Shah Alam tu, yang kecil-kecil tu kan. I cakap okay, saya boleh buat design. Selepas semester pertama belajar buat Illustrator dengan Photoshop.
Okay.
Illustrator dan Photoshop tu satu design, satu course je, satu topik je. So macam selepas tu tunjuk, bayar je lah apa-apa. Saya buat part time. Macam bila sebelum kelas saya datang, lepas tu saya pergi kelas, lepas tu saya balik saya datang sampai sampai malam. Okay lah, masa tu dia bayar saya 900 je. Okay mah.
Okay
lah tu kan. Kira nak belanja sebulan kan.
Kira okay tu.
Pada saya masa time tu kan.
Okay lah.
So tapi belajar tu okay lah, alhamdulillah semua benda kan. And then bila graduate, I didn't even think about macam nak masuk marketing pun. So immediately sambung je kerja dekat agency tu, and then went to publishing. Publishing tu, kalau you pernah dengar dulu Juice Magazine.
Okay, pernah dengar.
Juice Magazine. Juice Magazine.
It's like fashion ke?
Dia macam dia lifestyle.
Lifestyle.
Kalau macam Juice Magazine tu ialah macam kira dia bagi you illustrate macam-macam lah. Budak-budak kreatif. Dulu mana ada macam, you know, dulu mana ada magazine, creative magazine, semua tak ada. Art magazine semua tak ada. So macam Juice was it. Masa time tu Juice, Clue.
Clue.
You can remember Clue. So macam
Gen Z tak tahu kot lah.
tak.
Dah tak wujud lah.
Gen X and probably lah Gen Y tahulah.
Gen Y masih tahu.
So siapa-siapa jadi designer Juice ataupun Clue masa time tu, they were the people lah macam tu kan. So a little bit some of my illustrations pun macam masuk exhibition. Dapat masuk exhibition. I got commissioned by Nike untuk design dia punya Fabric.
Okay.
Yang patung Fabric tu kan.
Patung tu. Okay.
Dia bagi Fabric tapi kena buat Nike. So dapat tu
design for dia campaign ke macam mana?
dia punya macam campaign lah. So macam dia bagi Fabric seorang satu design. Design. So design nanti lepas tu dia akan bagi dekat dia akan showcase dekat certain Nike punya outlets lah. Nike boutiques. So dapatlah jumpa I punya, tiba jalan macam ada kat seronok lah. Dekat gambar tu dah tak ada dah pun. So
how do you feel bila dapat selected to be, you know, you punya design tu dekat Nike kot?
Yelah, macam seronok lah. Tapi tak dibayar. So macam
okay.
Bayar tu lagi happy lah kot. But anyway, so but then after a while tu again, dia rasa macam takkan ni je kot.
Okay.
Takkan ni je kot. I mean like, there's nothing wrong being a designer for the whole rest of your life. It's good. But I think I can do more.
Okay.
I think I can do more. So bila Asia tu mula-mula pun buat design sikit, lepas tu buat branding, lepas tu bila my boss masa kat Asia tu dia pergi pindah Tune Money, dia texted me. Dia cakap, Firdaus, you kenal ada orang nak kerja marketing? Kenal? Saya. Terus jumpa.
Wow. Banyak ni nak rungkai, but
sorry.
kita tapi sebenarnya I think kena tulis story of Firdaus Mumtazah lah lagi, Amin, insyaAllah.
Boleh keluarkan buku ni.
I jadi ghostwriter lah dah cok-cok awal-awal Okay, Tuan FM, you've been in this industry for quite some time now. Boleh tak share from your observation, one by think based on logical thinking, dia dah buat research yang mendalam dulu, ataupun sesuatu yang very emotional punya base, which is dia dah ada brand attachment kat situ. And then what should be, from your observation tu, what should be a marketer punya strategy? And then kemudian lepas tu I nak tanya, how would that strategy effect kita punya Godfather offer untuk attract them in valuing the product or services?
Faham.
It's a long question, sorry tuan, tapi
satu-satu lah kot. Okay, so customer tu dia beli based on emotion ataupun logical thinking lah, basically. It's always, in my opinion, customer akan beli based on emotions.
Okay.
It's always based on emotion.
Although diorang rasa macam it is a logical punya justification.
Logical tu dia bagi sendiri.
Dia punya
They put all their logical thinking,
Justifications,
justifications, reasons, semua dan sebagainya kan. Pada produk tu. Just sebab dia nak patut dia punya duit. That's it. So, it's like macam ni lah. Macam okay, for the longest time I memang pakai Android. I pakai Android. Lepas tu macam, and then when I saw my girlfriend, dia pakai iPhone. Tak pernah pun rasa nak pakai iPhone pun sebenarnya sebelum tu. Tapi I saw my girlfriend pakai iPhone. And she loves it. Lepas tu, that was my emotions toward her, not towards the phone. Lepas tu macam, bila tengok kamera dia tu macam cantik. The design tu okay lah. Masa time tu dia biasa je. I mean like iPhone dengan Android
versus the
sama je, lebih kurang je kan. I mean like, yeah. Cuma Android tu ada macam tu dah sekarang kan. Cantik je. But masa tu iPhone affordable lagi lah. Affordable lagi. After few years, okay, so tak adalah I nak terus tukar. But tiba-tiba macam mana tiba-tiba I dapat macam satu offer from my phone operator tu. Dia cakap I boleh dapat iPhone 4 ni. Itu lagilah emotional siut.
Yalah.
Kan? Dia bagi
free,
dia bagi bukan dia tak bagi free, tapi dia bagi you certain discounts kan. Lagi pula tu dia bestnya, dia text I, somehow orang tu call, dia cakap I punya yang current phone dah habis kontrak. You nak tukar phone baru tak? Dia tanya, iPhone ada tak? Kata iPhone apa? Tak tahu pengguna iPhone. Tak pernah rasa. Tiba-tiba macam tengok girlfriend macam tengok ambil gambar semua cantik semua benda kan. Lepas tu dia cakap ada diskaun sekarang. So bila dapat macam tu kan. So dia tak terus pergi tau you. Dia tak terus pergi. Okay lah, saya fikir dulu. Terus fikir, lepas tu macam I buat comparison. So kamera dia macam ni. Lepas tu boleh buat macam ni. Whatever lah the feature semua dia. Bila macam lagi best tu macam okay, bila aku ada kamera kan, aku boleh buat video. Lepas tu video tu nanti aku boleh buat macam content semua benda kan. Try to justify the thousands of aku letak dekat dalam handphone tu, and I can make money back.
Okay.
Kan? And sebenarnya saya ni memang jenis yang kalau beli barang tu beribu-ribu ringgit, memang saya kedekut. Memang saya kedekut. Saya boleh bergaduh dengan orang. Macam perlu ke beli ribu-ribu ni kan? Perlu ke? So saya memang kedekut. Tapi because of that additional emotion and then trying to justify it again to ada ROI, that's logical thinking for me. I nak beli laptop I kena cari paling murah and I pakai sampai 5-6 tahun. I just got a new laptop. Sebelum tu laptop yang beli tu ialah laptop gaming paling murah, harga 3,000 je.
Oh, okay.
AMD Ryzen semua apa dia ada, GeForce lah benda semua benda kan, whatever lah kan. Tapi for the longest time aku urung benda tu berat nak mampus.
Ya, betul.
So tapi function lagi. But only recently I saw a laptop because emotionally nampak benda tu cantik and nampak benda tu ringan tau. I still trying to find yang murah. Dapatlah jumpa 2,000 lebih. Lepas tu macam tak boleh tambah RAM kan, tambah ribu jadi 3,000 balik. Tapi dia ringan. So I justify it again.
I see.
So everyone will start that spark with emotions. So that's why bila kita buat advertising, kita tak cakap benda-benda yang logik. Kita cakap benda tu cantik. Kita cakap kau akan handsome pakai benda ni. Semalam aku pergi shopping kan, macam oh my god, aku spend berapa kan, just because imagine saya ni cantik, jadi handsome semua benda pakai ni. You get what I mean?
Pakai yang ni ke tuan?
As shirt ni. shirt ni. Shirt ni from Uniqlo.
Wow.
Shirt ni,
memang
okay,
look
shirt ni
good
macam
on
ni
you.
tau.
Memang pagi tadi I was like, wow tu kan, so on theme.
Tak. Shirt ni, dia macam ni. I will not sebarang beli shirts these days. Sebab dah tak pergi office dah.
Ya, betul.
But suddenly I have a change of heart. I nak pakai fashion style macam ni. Slow living, baju besar, semua apa dia kan. I don't want pakai ketat-ketat lagi dah. Lagi-lagi nanti nampak perut.
Okay, betul.
Okay. Lagi best, tiba-tiba I terbaca this J.W. Anderson, he is the designer for Dior. And he collaborated with Uniqlo.
Okay.
Aku pergilah beli. RM129. My justification.
Yang
Apa tau?
designer tadi.
Just designer tadi. Mana aku nak mampu beli Dior, aku beli J.W. Anderson lah.
Yelah.
Betul.
Kan?
Ya.
Tapi cantik aku.
Oh nice. Dari tadi pagi tadi memang
Tadi
very
dia-
very eye-catching. Cool.
So it's always emotions and then
he will
logical dia
justify.
bagi reasoning tu. It's always like that. So when you sell things or you build your offer ke apa benda kan, you must tackle the emotion. Kenapa aku kena beli dengan kau sekarang? Itu okay, kenapa aku kena beli dengan kau? That's the first question. Kenapa aku kena beli dengan kau? Lepas tu yang kedua kan, kenapa macam yang ini baru masuk reasoning. Kenapa macam mana? Kenapa macam mana benda ni boleh bantu aku? Itu dah masuk reasoning, logical. Kenapa? First ni, kenapa aku nak kena beli dengan kau? Because semua cantik semua benda ni kan. Logical reasoning, okay, sebab dia akan bantu macam ni, dia akan menjimatkan lah, whatever. Kan? Kenapa aku kena beli dengan kau sekarang? Okay, sekarang kau belikan aku sekarang, aku dapat ni. So that's your Godfather offer.
Ya.
Itu je sebenarnya.
Dalam soalan tadi tu, kenapa aku kena percaya dengan kau pun ada juga tak? That yang trust tu.
Yang tu tak ada.
Termasuk tak? Tu tak Itu that one is deeper
Itu
lah.
tak ada. Itu for me it's brand.
It's brand.
It's brand. Okay, so actually trust tu pun ada. Okay, tapi dia touch a little bit je. Dia macam ni. One of the elements dalam Godfather offer ialah sebenarnya dia kena meyakinkan.
Okay.
Dia kena meyakinkan. Dalam Mark Joyner dia cakap kan, dia kena ada trust dekat situ, believability. So dekat situ kan dia mesti cakap ada money back guarantee, dia ada warranty, dia boleh macam yalah boleh tukar ke ataupun who you are. Okay, so ni baju J.W. Anderson. J.W. Anderson dia daripada Dior. Dan aku tahu ya ke tidak atah. Kita tengok kat TikTok.
Ya.
Mudah terpercaya lah kan.
So probably dia nak address ketakutan orang kalau beli produk tu ada rugi ke apa ke kan. So bila dia bagi apa? Dia bagi security.
Yes. Dia ada peace of mind tu. Dalam offer semuanya best. Tapi dia still ada macam was-was kan. Okay, nah this is your peace of mind. 30 hari money back guarantee. Macam lah.
I pernah nampak you punya Godfather offer and it is crazy. It's like satu list yang panjang. I mean, how did you come up with the whole of that list? And did you macam dari sudut POV customer untuk come up with all that list of
Yes.
Godfather offer?
Dia macam again, dia kena macam daripada dua. Satu memang of course always start with your product lah. I mean like people sometimes they start dengan people, dengan customer. Kadang-kadang tapi certain because you tahu okay, so kat sini ada market people. Lepas tu you start dengan produk. So produk tu you boleh buat macam-macam. You boleh buat macam-macam untuk cater to this particular this particular group of people. Lepas tu nanti you what do you call that? You start bina your offer tu based on the thirst, kehausan, the demand of the people. You takkan bagi bonus yang macam suka-suka je kan. Bagi bonus yang macam okay, membantu orang ni. Bantu orang ni. So that's how I always do my bonus.
Maknanya
basically
when
offer
you craft tu, you tengok sebagai customer punya POV.
Yes.
Supaya mendapat segala value and value
Yes.
sampai dia kata take my money macam tu.
Correct. It's always looking at the customer's perceived value. Kalau Alex Hormozi tu dia perceive value je kan.
Rather than putting value based on kita punya cost and all kan.
Yeah.
Because
betul.
client might not see that view, right?
Betul.
Okay, faham.
Okay. Let's talk about branding pula, personal branding and I think it's about macam the relevance lah. So I know that you are from Gen X, right? That's kira lama gila, but bila sekali pandang Tuan Fam ni, boleh jadi nampak macam Gen X ke Z pun ada. So you are a person yang boleh catch up with the trends, boleh catch up with the technology juga. You know the current situation, but you not like macam go for TikTok, you masih go for the Facebook. You mampu relevant kan benda yang previously. Okay. So I nak tahulah sebab saya Gen Z, okay, and sekarang dah berhadapan dengan Gen Alpha. Maybe next ada Gamma ke, ada Delta ke. So we have to make sure ourselves ni sentiasa relevant lah. So what's your strategy ataupun you punya lifestyle yang you selalu buat to make sure you kekal relevant?
Wow. Semalam video post FM 2 hari lepas viral. Yang pasal kafe budak-budak hipster kan.
Yes.
Hipster tu, perkataan hipster tu masa zaman Gen Y, masa zaman Gen Y dah perkataan tu dah keluar sebenarnya. Macam mana
Yelah macam you know fashion apa nak pilih, like Uniqlo.
How can you relate with the young
Kan?
people?
Ini antara soalan yang susah tau. Soalan ni paling susah kali. Okay, sebenarnya macam ni lah. It's just a matter of sebenarnya saya punya lifestyle memang daripada dulu macam tu. Meaning to say, saya memang suka fashion. Yeah.
Cara express yourself.
Yes, macam penampilan tu saya pernah lah go through all that fashion punya journey tu daripada kecil yang pakai seluar bokat tu. Because saya lahir tahun 70s.
Oh, bell cut.
Bell bottoms. Kan. Mak bapak dah bagi saya bell bottoms.
Lepas tu stripes.
Yeah. Baju stripes, semua benda. Panas-panas bagi aku sweater. Aku tak faham. Tapi
zaman Dr. Martens semua lah.
I went to the zaman Dr. Martens. Masa saya macam form 4, form 5. Form 3, form 4, form 5. Dr. Martens semua kan. Lepas tu
hip-hop era.
I went through grunge. I went through Linkin Park, semua benda kan. I went through Korn lah, apa benda, Limp Bizkit semua. I went through all that. Y2K, shuffle semua.
Itu paling ini.
Rave. We went rave dekat airport, dekat mana-mana. You know, because it's a lifestyle yang I seronok. And it was part of my work masa kerja dengan Juice dulu. And bila kerja kat Juice tu, fashion rambut, fashion semua macam-macam lah. Masa dulu memang rock lah saya dulu kan. Pergi kerja tak ada baju, tak ada lengan, rantai. Bro, rambut aku masa time tu mohawk. Mohawk belakang ada ekor bhai.
Itu mahal tu,
Itu paling gila kali. Letak mohawk kan.
Okay.
Ada gambar tak nanti kena share lah.
Ada, tapi nanti lah saya check balik. Ada satu tu je.
Reminis balik.
Masa tu pergi Langkawi. Lepas, so it was part of my
lifestyle lah.
Lifestyle. Sentiasa tukar kan. Ada je fasa yang macam pergi kerja pakai shirts, pakai tie, and all that. So I guess okay, so I guess bila saya tengok that particular fashion, it suits me. And dan secara tak sengaja it is relevant or relatable to the current generation lah.
Yeah.
Faham?
Ah.
Okay, how about your service? Contohnya macam Facebook ads. Macam mana you make it masih relevant?
Oh, Facebook ads
Facebook ads, yes.
Okay, kalau macam Facebook ads, dia macam ni lah. I believe Meta tu, dia takkan macam tu je. It's a multi-billion company. And it has been for so long. Dia evolve. And bila whatever upcoming app or any social media, dia ada rasa threats. Yes. Tapi dia akan tetap, orang cakap, dia akan evolve. There was even a time macam, if I'm not mistaken, macam Meta ataupun back then dia Facebook, dia nak beli certain orang cakap certain app ataupun social media, dia nak beli. And dia orang tak nak jual pun. In the end, they come up with their own. You know, masa time tu tiba-tiba macam dia nak beli Snapchat, tapi Snapchat tak nak jual kat dia. If I'm not mistaken lah, tapi aku tak ingat Snapchat. Lepas tu Snapchat tak nak jual kat dia. And then somehow dia macam acquire Instagram, and then Instagram keluarkan stories. Snapchat was that concept. They come up with stories. It took a while for people to actually macam nak evolve to changes ataupun adapt changes. Memang any changes good or bad, semua orang ada fear. Semua orang ada fear. There must be someone yang macam lead to it. Mestinya. So selalu orang yang kat depan tu memang selalu kena kecam lah. Mesti kena kecam lah. So
Early adopters tu.
Early adopters, yes. But then kalau you tengok sekarang ni macam ni, TikTok lah. TikTok ni dia mula-mula, dia sebenarnya dah lama dah kan, tapi dia mula-mula naik masa PKP. Right? PKP. And then all the dance trends kan. So trending tu semua benda. Lepas tu after a while people start bagi content yang macam quotes lah, apa semua dan sebagainya kan. Daily reminder, semua benda-benda tu kan. Lepas tu then after a while people buat live. And then after a while people buat ada beg kuning. And then tiba-tiba ada ads. So benda tu dia terlalu, in my opinion, dia terlalu laju.
Evolving.
Dia punya evolution terlalu laju. Even budak zaman sekarang pun saya rasa dia tak boleh catch up. Do you know that, I'm sure you Gen Z kan, you ada this concept panggil social media detox. Do you guys have that? Social media detox?
I have.
Ada.
I need it.
Hujung-hujung Januari tu dia ada social media detox tau. Because everything is too fast for them. So bila dia macam to the fact macam yang dia uninstall semua segala app semua whatsoever, and they just being away from phone. Even phones like macam phone makers macam Nokia semua apa, they came back with like the Nokia 3310.
Balik semua come back.
Just tapi dia ada WhatsApp lah. Cuma dia ada certain things dia tak boleh buat. Kan? So macam diorang ni somehow dia akan, in my opinion, dia akan berbalik-balik kepada yang old social media which is Meta. There will be, dia tak grow macam dulu, dulu laju je naik kan, tapi dia akan sentiasa grow. Sekarang if I'm not mistaken, if I feel, in my observation, orang-orang yang buat TikTok dia sekarang banyak dekat Reels.
Banyak dekat mana?
Reels, Instagram. Okay. It's the same format. Meta dia tak akan macam tak evolve. They see that particular social media dia buat macam ni kan, dia mesti copy.
For that function.
Penerimaan tu different. Cara nak guna tu probably different. Now dekat Meta, you know why I feel like are always relevant? Because Meta, tak kisahlah Facebook ataupun Instagram, it's always about telling a story. Dia bukan nak menari-nari dia, tak ada. It's always about telling a story. Representation dia different. Dia on stories, on reels, Dulu Reels, ramai orang macam cakap, okay, kena buat how to, macam ni, buat macam ni. No, sekarang dia macam tell a story. Instead of me telling like macam how to build a Godfather offer. Sekarang ni, I kena cerita, macam contohnya, my journey making from RM0 to RM1 million within 30 days. Sebenarnya belakang dia cerita dia Godfather offer. So dia macam itulah.
Faham.
So that's always like try to tell a story so that I think yang I relevant lah kot.
Tell a story.
InsyaAllah.
I hope dia menjawab soalan.
Menjawab.
Faham? Menjawab.
Bagus.
Menjawab.
Lebih daripada jawab soalan tu. I think banyak very good coverage there. Okay,
Okay,
Faris.
Tuan FM. Okay, dari segi macam penjenamaan, dari segi marketing, dari segi penjenamaan lah untuk macam mana penjenamaan tu, jenama tu nak kekal relevan, kekal konsisten dari segi masa ke, sebab contoh macam tadi Dior ke apa ke, dari segi branding tu sendiri. Macam mana nak keep maintain tu, ideologi dia.
That's a really hard story tau. That's a really hard question tau. Satu is macam, man, aku dah lama gila tinggalkan branding.
Okay.
Tapi kalau nak relate balik to marketing lah kan. I mean probably boleh tengok angle kalau you nak marketing kan company yang tak ada brand sangat. It would be harder, right?
Dia it's not hard. Okay. Dia macam ni. Mungkin ramai orang salah faham. It's not hard to actually do branding.
Okay.
But the results yang very slow. Tu je. It's not hard. It's actually quite easy. You do content. You do a lot of content.
Tak nampak lah.
You do a lot of content. Yes. Dia akan datang kemudian. Okay.
Okay.
Dia macam ni So, the place I used to work, dia sebuah F&B. And the F&B has been around kat Malaysia ni dah almost 40 tahun lah. 40 tahun je tu kan. Ke lebih dah. Okay, can't remember. Okay. And who would think that particular brand akan jatuh? Jatuh bukan saja macam jatuh pada macam orang dah tak ingat dah dia sangat. Jatuh sales. Dia automatic. Dia automatic sangat. So the brand is Pizza Hut.
Okay, alright.
So one of the things yang bila kita orang macam orang-orang baru masuk, satu question yang selalu tanya, when was the last time you eat Pizza Hut? You had Pizza Hut. Come on, satu pizza, you tak makan tiap hari kot. You tak makan every 30 days. You probably makan every 45 days. Okay. Kalau dulu orang ingat Pizza Hut, okay, orang ingat Pizza Hut. But now, bila kita cakap pizza, there's so many pizza. Tapi main competitor dia Domino's. Main competitor dia Domino's. Papa John's.
Mokis baru.
Tambah mana lagi lah. Macam semua macam oven bake. Semua macam sourdough.
Oh yeah.
Kan?
Wagyu.
Letak daging Wagyu. Semua everything is on trend macam tu. Kan? So, people always see Pizza Hut tu as an old brand. Dia tak keep up, bro. Kan? That was, okay, so kita orang almost the whole team of marketing rombak. Semua orang-orang baru. And semua orang yang bukan dalam, almost semua orang, almost everyone yang masuk baru tu bukan daripada F&B.
Okay.
So we put in different thoughts. We put in different perspective. So ada yang daripada daripada telco, ada yang daripada macam saya daripada Go Shop, ada yang daripada macam-macam macam-macam brands kan, daripada Genting, My Stuff from Genting.
Okay.
Ada yang daripada startups.
Wow.
Memang totally new brand.
Supaya ada POV berbeza.
Yes. My boss from Petronas.
Okay.
Minyak kot. Petronas.
Jauh lari tu.
Jauh lari gila babi. So how do we build this? Okay. Ini apply kepada semua orang. Okay. Semua orang, especially bila brand you tak kuat.
Betul.
Ataupun brand ni. Okay. Ada satu prinsip ni. The parent company nama dia Yum. Yum.
Oh,
So
Yum,
the macam kira macam the brand
Brand
holder lah.
Brand.
Kan? The brand holder kan. Yum. YUM. So dia ada satu prinsip ni di mana dia macam ni. Dia panggil SOBO. Sales overnight, brand over time. Apa-apa pun sales dulu. But do not ever forget to build your brand because brand will come over time. Buatlah apa-apa pun. Kan? Buatlah apa-apa pun, you punya marketing semua apa benda ke kan, promotion so whatever, your offers whatever. Tapi kan jangan lupa letak logo, jangan lupa brand essence, jangan lupa buat brand tu relevant kepada market terkini. So at the same time the brand department, dia cuba keluar out with the old, in with the new. Tukarlah. Kita orang tukar bukan hanya tukar macam outlook je. Bukan hanya tukar macam bukan hanya macam buang kekeluargaan tu. Pizza Hut was always about family gathering lah, apa semua benda kan.
Extravaganza.
Macam tu kan. So then so we get new fresh faces. Masa time tu Gen Y lah. Gen Y. Orang-orang yang relevant keluar dekat iklan kita orang. Our orang cakap our cast ataupun our talent semua orang-orang muda. Even to the point yang kita tukar balik menu, kita tukar balik semua restoran semua and everything. And one of the biggest thing yang kita tukar ialah our website and app. Pizza Hut was the first food ordering app sebenarnya sebelum Foodpanda and Grab keluar.
Wow.
Okay, sebelum tu sebenarnya ada Domino's, tapi dia pull back. Tapi then kita keluarkan. So macam ada kisah di di sebalik tu lah. So macam I pushed it. Cakap, no, kita ada app. Kita kena ada app. Dia
memudahkan sales pula.
Dia punya problem masa time tu was bukan saja new people ingat kita macam brand lama. Tak best. So new people tak akan masuk nak beli. Old people pun tak datang. Dah tak nak beli dah tinggal lah. Lupa dah. So dengan app, it will create repeat buying faster. Our conversion rate 45%, bro. Masa time tu 45%. Confirm 2 orang masuk, 1 orang convert.
Wow.
Memang itu benda yang saya
Alhamdulillah.
bangga lah.
Wow.
Macam tu kan.
You punya legacy kat situ.
Macam tu.
Okay Tuan, talking about sales kan, I think semua orang target for sales and but we know sales is berdasarkan kita punya rezeki kan. So how far is kita nak as business owner nak tahu sejauh mana kita punya usaha tu to put on the targets tu. I mean, yelah kita macam tengah shooting kan. Macam mana nak dapat bullseye all the time, it's not that easy kan. It's a challenge for most business owners. And sejauh mana nak justify, nanti team accounts tanya ni. Betul? Tanya ni sales tak target, tak capai. So nak dapat satu balance, a peace of mind antara team marketing, sales and accounts tu. Balance tu. Because something yang kita tak boleh tahu for sure, but obviously boleh berusaha. What kind of KPI yang kita boleh put in place? Adakah percentage of marketing cost tu diguna pakai sebaiknya sudah memadai ataupun kena kau dapat sales tu juga? That balance supaya ada apa, a peace of mind.
So basically sebenarnya dia macam, dia punya soalan dia ialah apakah marketing budget yang terbaik lah macam tu, yang boleh justifiable lah.
Ada orang kata 10% out of the sales. Adakah
dia okay, so benda ni dia subjective towards your business model lah, and what your product and your product cost and all that. Okay, cerita pasal apa ni, rezeki tu datang daripada Allah. Tak boleh tak boleh nafikan, memang datang daripada dia. And kita kena usaha. So, tapi usaha ni dia macam banyak mana kita usaha dan banyak mana kita nak.
Ya,
Kan?
betul.
Betul tak?
Ya.
Kan? Banyak mana kita nak. Lepas tu kita dah buat, kita doa, kita reda lah. Alright. Kita reda. And then kita continue, move forward. Always move forward. Tapi apa-apa pun sebenarnya, part of that usaha, sebenarnya kita kena ada target. Kita kena ada target. And target tu is always macam based on not just sales, tapi dia mesti ada profit. Kan? Dia mesti ada profit. Because it needs to cover costs. Kan? So that's when, if you cover costs, that's when your accounts ataupun your accountants, they're happy. Dia selalu macam tu. Or not just accountants lah, macam
Owners.
your founders, or whoever in the business, and your directors, semua benda kan. People like to actually make money, make profit. Not just make money, make profit. So your target sebagai macam seorang yang founder ataupun seorang business owner, director, C-levels, selalulah tengok not just sales, orders, tapi selalu profit. Then I think even before pergi buat marketing, kita kena tahu how much the cost for a product.
Okay, cost.
What cost does it take for a product? Kan macam tu. So masa dekat Pizza Hut, masa dekat Go Shop, everyone needs to know how much they have to make from one single order. The marketeers kena tahu. Dia tak boleh buta-buta buat promo. Dia ada threshold level. You pusing-pusing macam mana kan, you buat macam ni kan, you nak deduct prices, you nak buat combo ke apa ke kan, you jangan
main-main.
Jangan main-main, jangan buat ada trust, jangan lepas that threshold. And bila buat kiraan dia bukan tunjuk kat saya saja tau. And saya approve tau. Saya approve, lepas saya approve, Chief Marketing Officer approve, lepas Chief Marketing Officer approve, all the GM's operations kena approve. Dia macam tu, okay? Dia bukannya suka-suka. Tak boleh. Dia kena.
Lagi sekarang banyak platform yang with all these platform fees semua tu kan. Kena very careful.
Correct. You jual dekat mana? So itu kira macam besar lah, company besar. But if you company kecil or you business kecil, benda tu jangan tutup mata. Jangan ambil macam jangan tutup sebelah mata pun. Because benda-benda ni lah yang macam the small things, small fees yang you tak nampak tu will
eat you life.
Yes, dia macam anak-anak yang tahu tak. Dia tak nampak benda tu kan kat dalam rumah kan. Dia tak nampak benda tu. Tahu-tahu dah roboh. And it's too late already lah.
Faham.
Betul.
So you kena tengok balik cost. So target, sales, profit, and then you tengok cost, barulah you buat segala marketing efforts you. Now, berapa marketing cost yang kena keluar tu, dia sebenarnya it goes back to actually how much profit you want to make. Because marketing cost is cost. It's cost. It's not fixed cost lah tu. Dia variable cost. But you must put, yang bagusnya, you must have at least a marketing budget. Macam you letak set aside, macam yang terbaik tu letaklah setahun. And then dia jadi cost variable, macam bulan ni guna banyak ni, bulan ni guna banyak ni je. It always depends on how much sales you target lah. Okay. Ramai yang cakap macam easily buat easily macam calculate je, macam 10%, 20%, 30% of the sales target. Okay. Kalau macam company besar tu, kecil je. 3%, 5%. Tapi dia punya target tu besar. Millions, hundreds of millions, billions. Kan? Habis marketing cost dia, tak boleh lah 20% off 1 billion. Wah.
Seronok lah.
Seronok tak habis.
Siap pergi buat strategic meeting dekat atas yacht.
Ya tu. Kan? Tak habis. So jadi kecil lah percentage dia. 5%, 3%.
That's what allocated lah.
Back to berapa profit you nak.
Kan? Correct. It's always how much yang tinggal untuk you sebenarnya. So you dah
Play around lah kat atas tu.
Bila kita orang macam buat macam one of the things yang saya ajar ialah annual marketing plan. The whole point of the annual marketing plan is to buat perkara-perkara macam campaigns ataupun segala initiatives you untuk meet monthly targets. But that annual marketing plan tu dia tak stop dekat situ saja tau. Sebenarnya kena ambil benda tu dan fight for your budget. You kena buat macam ni. Tapi dia tak boleh buat on air je. Atas udara macam tu je. Dia ada cost. Bayar ads ke, bayar live host ke, small things ni. Bayar fees.
Betul.
Free gifts. Play cards ke apa benda ke, whatever lah kan. Benda tu semua marketing.
Faham.
So nak jawab what is exactly the number tu, saya tak berani nak jawab. A lot of people cakap 10, 20%, 30% untuk SME. The bigger yang conglomerates ni, company besar, maybe 3%, 5%. Itu secara average. But behind it sebenarnya, dia selalu ada calculations. And selalu buat together benda-benda ni, budget ni, memang dengan finance department.
Adik-beradik lah kira.
Dan memang kena ada approvals lah.
Ya.
Okay, I have a question yang agak panas juga. Okay. So, of course lah bila kita plan everything dalam business kan, and it can be tak jadi, boleh jadi sales tu tak menjadi ataupun profit tu boleh jadi menurun. Okay. And the problem is most of the, tak tahulah kalau tuan banyak jumpa your client ataupun owner, mostly dekat Malaysia ni they tend to blame the government of the policy, the external punya threats. Okay. Is it really true? Benda, adakah ekonomi Malaysia ni slow disebabkan government policy, ataupun sebenar-benarnya dia datang daripada culture kita sebenarnya?
Culture blaming gitu.
Ini soalan ni memang panas.
Itulah tuan, kita ada 10 minutes je, so kita kena wrap it up like banyak lagi sebenarnya.
Kita nak jawab apa? Benda ni nanti kan saya kena kecap.
Tak apa.
Boleh?
Just cakap on the owner lah,
Okay
how
lah,
orang nak help themselves lah kan, rather than blaming ke apa.
Alright. So saya rasa macam inilah. Wherever you are in the country, you always be governed. Kan? Mesti ada undang-undang. Mesti ada regulations. Why? Sebab kalau tak ada undang-undang, yalah hancur kacau bilau lah. Right? Kacau bilau lah. And one of the things tu, initiative ni sepatutnya kita let to the government do whatever they supposed to do. Kita tak payahlah cerita macam, government ni kena buat macam ni, government ni kena buat macam ni. Semua government dia ada flaws dia sendiri lah. Okay. Always look at the government kan, dia macam apa tau? Macam sebuah company juga. They actually make money from the rakyat, and they supposed to actually pusing balik kepada rakyat. Macam tu. It's macam rakyat ni kita punya staff. Something like that je lah. Okay. Now here's my take. Whatever the reasons, faktor ekonomi semua dan sebagainya, dia sebenarnya bukannya macam tiba-tiba dalam Malaysia ni tiba-tiba semua orang tak ada duit. Tiba-tiba semua orang tak ada gaji. Semua orang tak pergi kerja tu ada. Pernah jadi COVID, right?
Ya, betul.
Tapi semua orang tiba-tiba dah banyak duit masa time tu.
Bawa keluar duit, dapat moratorium.
Dapat moratorium, dapat KWSP, dapat macam-macam. Tiba-tiba terkaya lah kat situ kan. It's just that dia macam ni lah. Dia sebenarnya kita dalam arena politikal yang macam agak tidak tahu arah tuju jugalah sebenarnya. Kan? Kita dah change berapa banyak kali government Perdana Menteri in how many years? In just how many years, right? And every single time change, kita pun macam-macam benda changes. So people sebenarnya secara tak langsung, benda ni norma dia ialah people selalu berhati-hati. So duit tu ada. Gaji minimum naik 2 kali kot. RM1,500, RM1,700. Within how many years? Okay. So duit tu ada, tapi sebenarnya kita kena fikir dekat mana dia spend. What do they want? What is the emotions yang dia kena, yang boleh capture dia orang sekarang? Kita selalu dengar macam semua orang struggling. Everyone is struggling. Tak boleh deny. But every year pun everyone struggling.
Betul.
Kan? Every year pun everyone struggling. Tak pernah lah macam aku dengar macam, weh, tahun ni kita kaya. No man, tak pernah dengar kan.
Betul.
Kan? Everyone is struggling. Cakap tak tahu macam tu, tak tahu macam tu. So bilanya aku nak kaya ni kan? Tapi sebenarnya kaya. Yang kaya tu senyap.
Kaya senyap.
Kaya tu senyap. Dia nak kaya seorang.
Betul.
Kan? So it's always goes back to your marketing lah sebenarnya.
Macam mana nak attract them.
Macam mana nak attract people to buy from you instead of them keeping their money, ataupun they go to alternatives, ataupun they go to competitors. Macam itulah saya rasa.
Okay, now we have Fairuz and then last question from me, okay?
Boleh.
Saya punya pula simple FM. The best on your opinion lah, apa yang the best marketing method untuk sekian lama dalam bidang pemasaran ni?
The best marketing method maksudnya macam mana? Cuba macam
untuk dari segi pemasaran, dari segi
is it like storytelling, or is it like ada certain
maybe you can share the your copywriting storytelling
formulas or something.
Faham.
Tak perlu in depth, just nanti kita boleh kena buat research lagi kan.
Macam ni okay, so saya sekejap je lah. Okay, saya cuba wrap up macam I always marketing method which I do have, is the 5 S's. Tapi I tak nak cerita pasal 5 S's tu. Itu ialah step from 0 to your 1 million. But dia macam ni, dia 5P. 5P ni memang you punya marketing principle. Jeremy McCarthy dia buatkan ni in the 1960s. You follow, pegang benda ni je. So you ada people you kena buat customer avatar. You kena understand your PRD. Problem, results, dream. Okay, because that's your angle nanti. And then you punya product ni kan, you buat lah macam mana product you. Okay, you probably sama dengan produk sebelah. You buat lah macam mana pun kan. Okay. Nanti kejap lagi ada orang copy. You akan copy. But you must always have your offer, your godfather offer. Why people always buy from you. And it always macam dia tak semestinya macam orang cakap kan, kena discount. Tak. Offer tak semestinya discount ataupun potongan harga.
Nanti kill the market juga kan tuan?
Yes, you kill yourself.
You
kill yourself. Unless dia ada strategi di mana dia ada entry levels. Itu you boleh buang harga ke ataupun apa kan. Pampers, diapers selalu macam dia buang harga. Dia macam just nak orang
first time,
orang beli je dengan dia kan. Okay. So that's product. And then you ada pricing. Okay, pricing ni there's so many ways to actually put pricing. Ini kena belajar sendiri lah. The psychology behind pricing ni. Lepas tu you ada place. For me, pilihlah tempat yang paling senang you buat, paling cepat you launch and paling profit.
Itu.
Saya tak nak cakap kat mana, tapi
ikutlah Tuan FM Tuan FM akan
you fikirlah sendiri kat macam mana. But it goes back to your pricing. Kena pada profit. Kira-kira kan. And then last kali is your promotion. Promotion ni tak semestinya macam, bukan maksudnya promotion macam promosi besar-besaran, tak, bukan tu. It's how you promote your product. How you promote your product, kat sini lah macam you kena tahu copywriting you lah, you kena pandai buat advertising lah, you know, all those things, content lah, apa semua dan sebagainya. There's so much methods buat benda-benda ni, copywriting, content and all that. Tapi saya selalu pegang this 5 P's.
Wow.
You
go back to the basics lah tuan.
Betul. You bodoh macam mana pun, you tak tahu macam mana pun nak buat marketing kan. Saya akan cakap balik, you go back to your 5Ps. Go back to your
Very
5Ps
deep.
and pegang benda tu kuat-kuat.
Wah, nak tahu in
Tu
and
je.
out
Yes.
Berapa
Tu je.
lama tu 5P nak mendalami tuan?
Alah benda tu. Benda tu
I know.
subjek pertama kot masa belajar marketing tu.
Memang 5P tu macam basic tau. Tapi dia sangat dalam. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
that's the problem. A lot of people
Take
think
it lightly kan.
it's just basic, man. Kan? Tak seksi. Kan?
The first
Tapi-
page of marketing kan.
Semua ni, this is
Covering
your
all
money
this.
making.
Machine.
This is your money making machine. Benda-benda, method, cara-cara, teknik semua bawa dia. In my opinion lah.
Thank you tuan.
So kita pegang 5 prinsip, 5P tu. Prinsip
Alright.
5P tu.
Wow, such a short punya, concise answers, and then kita ada sejam lebih sikit je. Itu pun kita dah drag tau.
Yeah, sorry.
Saya kan team, I nak pas lagi last
Okay,
just one. This is about adaptability tadi. After knowing all these 5 Ps, and marketer nampak kehadapan, kita always kena be very proactive, ada foresight and all. Macam mana kita nak adapt in a world yang always changing, VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. How do we adapt? Because we will have this, kena ada VUCA. We have to alert the business owners as well. So how do we always nak make sure that we are relevant? Itu I think very crucial, because probably one point it was relevant. Contoh tadi tuan kata Pizza Hut kita ambil kan. Suddenly sekarang orang punya trend dah lain, dah berbeza. Orang just nak eat out, orang tak nak dine in. Pizza Hut was very strong dekat dine in kan. Suddenly kena tweak, and then Domino's punya dine in memang dia tak cater sangat pun.
Domino's punya model is always online business lah.
So I mean, okay, kalau kita apply to other businesses as well, you have to keep changing. And again tadi you mentioned changing is hard. Early adopters, then you have to be the leader pula, carry people through changes, transformation. That's a lot. So macam mana kita nak always be ready and relevant. Soalan dia lah. It's a hard one, I know. But I think it's very crucial supaya ramai marketer kat luar sana rasa they're not alone kan in this, right? Sometimes we feel alone kan, macam kita seorang rasanya. How do we deal with this?
Saya rasa readiness to changes ni dia gini je lah. Dia ialah satu benda yang orang cakap you memang kena ada. You tak boleh, kalau you buat business kan, okay, you know what, bukan saja business lah, if you makan gaji pun kan, you mesti kena ada you kena ada edge. Macam you kena macam on your toes. You tak boleh macam ada comfort level macam tu. You cannot. Bila you ada satu comfort level kan, that's when you will start going down. This is just my opinion. Okay, so macam myself, there was a time yang macam I bawah sangat. Betul-betul bawah. So memang tak comfortable lah. Bila tak comfortable tu, you kena firefight. You kena buat lah segalanya sampai you comfortable. Itu tak? Macam T. Harv Eker, dia cakap the middle class ni, dia susah sangat. Dia takut nak turun bawah. Tapi the middle class ni, dia susah sangat nak naik. It's because dia comfortable. T. Harv Eker. T. Harv Eker dia
marketing genius ke business?
Dia macam dia millionaire punya mindset lah. So dia tulis buku ni, The Secrets of Money, The Secrets of Millionaire Minds. Bila you sampai dekat comfort zone, you dah terlalu comfortable, you susah nak tukar, you akan susah nak berubah. Tapi bila you dah turun, terjatuh, you dah susah nak naik balik, because you dah comfortable, you dah sampai tak tahu apa nak buat. So kalau you kerja, makan gaji, you tak boleh comfortable. You must always strive. That's my goal. I tak nak jadi.
Mediocre.
Yelah, walaupun I ni late bloomer, I tak nak jadi designer je. I cannot. Cannot. Lepas tu I macam, yelah, I tak buat apa-apa for how many years. Makan gaji macam tu je. Aku kena ada degree. Aku kena ada diploma. I cannot.
The world's changing fast.
Walaupun macam gaji saya macam apa kan, I was comfortable.
At that time.
Yes. And then bila I dah bila I dah start kerja jadi marketing, I cannot just be macam a marketing manager. I want to do more. I want to be saya tak boleh berada dalam sebuah syarikat tu lebih daripada 3 tahun. Because dah lebih 3 tahun kan, everything is at my fingertips. Everything at my fingertips. Every year, buat annual planning, mesti ada new innovation. Supaya it keeps us, the whole team kan, running fresh. Mindset baru. Buat projek baru. Tak boleh.
Wow.
Bila kita buat new innovation, orang akan follow kita. Kan? Orang akan follow kita. Dulu kita follow dia. Tapi okay, kita every year kita kena buat satu benda yang baru. Jadi tak jadilah akan kira. Jadi tak jadi jangan kira. Because it will always come with like a paperwork. Paperwork, projection semua mesti ada.
Wow.
Sama juga dengan business sendiri. Business sendiri, you cannot be comfortable with that current product you. You must always have new products coming.
Faham.
You must always look at the new trend. Susah nak tengok macam okay, trend macam VUCA kan, volatile lah, unpredictable lah and all that kan. Can't even remember kan. But tak tahu VUCA tu. But itu semua dia ada economical, economy, social lifestyle, whatever. Okay. Sociopolitik semua apa dia semua ada. Itu semua kita tak boleh kontrol. Yang kita boleh kontrol ialah apa yang berada depan kita. Kita punya kerja, kita punya jawatan, kita punya business, produk yang kita jaga. I think people needs to have plans yang masukkan new innovation. Benda tu akan menambahkan lagi sales, dan bila automatically lah you ada sales, you ada profit kan. More profit means more cash flow, more cash reserve. Bila tahun depan, let's say lah you impacted, negatively impacted, you still okay ma.
Okay, ma.
You're surviving. You're not comfortable, you're surviving, you always try to change. That's me lah.
Alright, kita nak wrap it up. So Tuan FM, the last one message from you to the audience. What kalau ada one message that you want to share to the audience, silakan.
Pasal business or marketing?
Anything yang you rasa ada satu one life lesson yang you want to share with the audience. Anything.
There's so many macam saya. Saya ni sebenarnya for the past how many years saya macam always being a loner. Kan, always being a loner. Surprisingly when I go out, people still don't know me lah. But it's just okay. It's okay, it's fine. That's not the point. The point is macam kita ni macam ni. Kita whether you ada business, you bekerja, you makan gaji, you want to make money duit sampingan ke apa kan. You're alone, you have a family. You kena ada satu prinsip yang di mana you kena letak lah pada diri. Di mana you tak boleh comfortable lah, macam saya nak cakap tadi. You tak boleh comfortable. Being a loner, right? Staying alone. Being alone most of the times. My children is not around. I don't have a family here. And I don't have family here. I tend to get really comfortable. Because lah, aku seorang-seorang tu kan. Lepas tu konsep saya ialah company of one. And saya ada company, cuma ada macam beberapa orang partner. Still company of one. Maksudnya company of one ni kira macam dia punya staff dia sikit lah. Kan, staff dia sikit. Tapi kita ada macam, gig workers and all that, based on projects. Monthly pun ada. Monthly gigs. Monthly tu ada. So, Jadi dia macam lagi-lagi pula zaman sekarang kan semua automate.
AI and all.
Tak semestinya AI. Benda tu automatic. Benda tu macam kita susun. Okay, dia so kita alhamdulillah dia masuk kan. So kita tend to be very comfortable. Bila sampai satu tahap tu saya pernah ada rasa comfortable and saya lupa. So saya jatuh balik. Again, bila you jatuh, you nak naik balik tu,
Painful.
very painful. Very painful. So never get too comfortable. Never get too comfortable. Dia macam ni lah. Bila you nak bangun balik kan, dia ada benda ni yang saya selalu buat. First kali you kena niat. Niat dengan yang sebaik-baik niat. You kena ada purpose in life. You kena purpose untuk diri you in your life.
Nawaitu tu.
Yes. Buat tu, kalau niat salah, mungkin you dapat.
Okay.
Mungkin you dapat. Tapi niat salah lah. Jadi benda lain lah kan.
Betul.
Kan? Jadi benda apa tu saya tak tahulah. Tapi jadi benda lain lah, right?
Okay.
So, niat tu kena betul. Niat tu supaya diberkati, gitu kan. Bila niat, you ada usaha. Usaha you memang kena besar, gang. Usaha kena kau. Niat, usaha, bila dah selesai tu kan, you doa lah. You doa dengan Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, you doa kan, berkatilah segala usaha ni semua benda whatsoever, right? And then you redha. Sebab you dah buat 3 ni tau. You 3 ni kan, ini kerja you ni. If he suddenly doesn't give you, and then tak nak, and you give up on God, you dah lah give up on life, you give up on God. You kena redha. So 4 tu lah. Niat, usaha, doa, and then redha.
And jangan
get too comfortable.
Wow.
It's so hard nanti, man.
Alright. Kata-kata yang sangat memberi semangat and also peringatan for us. So Alhamdulillah, thank you so much Tuan FM for being here today. Kita sangat appreciate your time, and kita panjangkan sikit sesi ni sebab banyak sebenarnya kata-kata yang memang sebenarnya alamak nak tulis every notes, tapi tak apa, kita boleh look back on the video. Alhamdulillah, that's reason ada podcast anyway.
Ya, betul.
So thank you so much. Saya Coach Zati daripada The Creative Decode.
Saya Amirul.
Dan saya Fai.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.